participants, I'm greeting you and thankful for joining here in our meeting. Today, one of the representative of COGEP International Organization, Dodo Keles, participate in our meeting. First of all, we want to hear you, Mr. Dodo Hanım.
Hello. Türkçe konuşayım çünkü İngilizcem yeterse siz çevirin. Teşekkür ederim COGEP adına burada olduğunuz için. Çok dikkatle konuşmalarınızı dinleyeceğiz ve bu konuşmalar sonradan bizim COGEP diplomatik dergimize yayınlanacak.
Thank you for participating here. I'm very glad to meet you and with pleasure listen to you. And your speech will publish it in our newspaper, COGEP Diplomacy. Thank you very much. Thank you for speech, Dodo Hanım. Dear participants, I'm again greeting you as the coordinator of international organization COGEP for Central Asia. We will hold discussion with you. The topic, named the role civil society organization in the resolving the regional conflict. It is, I think that it is a very interesting topic. Each of us, what do you think about it? It's very interesting. Does civil society really play a role in conflict resolution? We will clarify these issues in today's speeches. And first of all, before our discussion, I'd like to give a brief information about the international organization COGEP. COGEP International was founded in 1985 in France. The organization is currently headquartered in Strasbourg, France. The main goal of this organization, the justice, equality, and peace. COGEP currently has status in a number of international organizations. COGEP International consultative status with the Economic and Social Council, ECOSOC, of the United Nations, UNESCO, the Council of Europe, the OECD, and accredited of the European Parliament and the OSCE. COGEP International present in 14 countries in Europe, but also in Asia, Africa, and United States. Dear participants, I want to say that I believe that joint activists and cooperation with COGEP International Organization will be beneficial for the countries of Central Asia, including for Georgia and other countries. So I'd like, I wish success to each of you. Before I said that today we will discuss the role civil society organization in resolving the regional conflict. For this discussion, I invited several countries here, but some of participants couldn't participate here, from Turkey and from Kyrgyzstan and other countries. It is, I think that it is the problem on the connected problem. I believe that it is only will be connected problem, but our very respected representatives, politicians, academics, representatives participate here. One of them I'd like to introduce from Georgia. Georgia, can you introduce themselves and can you inform about yourself, please? And what do you think about this? With pleasure, want to hear you, to listen you about the problem, the regional, the role civil society organization in the resolving the regional conflict, please.
Спасибо большое. Во-первых, я буду говорить на русском языке, наверное, это комфортно для всех.
Позже отправил нам это короткая
Да-да.
информация на английском языке, и мы будем ознакомиться.
Да. Спасибо большое за возможность пообщаться с вами и говорить о очень серьезных проблемах нашего региона. Во-первых, я хочу сказать, что когда вы первый раз со мной говорили про нашу конференцию, тогда не было решено многих вопросов именно в этом конфликте. Да? После этого мы уже видели другой, так сказать, другой проявления те политики и военных действий, которые у нас было в регионе. Да? Во-первых, я хочу сказать, что сам факт, как, конечно, угроза для региона, это большая угроза. С другой стороны, это какой-то прецедент, который важен и для Грузии тоже, потому что первый раз происходит в нашем регионе практически восстановление территориальной целостности одной страны, и с другой стороны, конечно, Грузия как представитель в этом конфликте нейтральной страной, мы, конечно, не можем вмешиваться с другим образом. Но в первую очередь я хочу вам сказать тот факт, что неправительственные организации имеют важнейший роль в регулировании конфликтов, во-первых, потому что всегда есть международные правовые, так сказать, специфика таких отношений, когда страны сами не могут иметь отношения ни с другой стороны, и таких конфликтов ограничений очень много, которые не имеют практически неправительственные организации. С этой стороны, конечно, роль неправительственных организаций большая, но это, конечно, не прямо в политическом смысле, потому что, конечно, неправительственные организации не смогут играть большую роль в регулировании конфликтов именно на государственном уровне. Но, конечно, это неформальный формат, это очень важный формат. Во-первых, я могу сказать, как представитель города Сухуми, я сам из Сухуми, беженец, так называемый, так мы называем себя, и государство, и международные сообщества. Во-первых, потому что абхазская специфика в регионе тоже была одним из самых ключевых моментов, когда мы говорим о конфликтах. Да? То же самое для нас это какая-то надежда. Для Грузии, вот, с одной стороны, восстановление территориальной целостности Азербайджана, это для нас какая-то новая надежда, что, например, мы сможем вернуться в своих домах, как это сделали уже наши братья из Азербайджана. Да? Тем более, еще один интересный момент, может быть, это не касается примерно неправительственных организаций, но, с другой стороны, это очень важный момент. Когда вот на Горном Карабахе мы все знаем, что они говорили, что они хотят независимости, да? Это было так, это был сепаратистский регион, да, изначально. Так нам это все говорили, и там выборы проходилось, и так далее, да. Но оказывается, что для Армении это не было какой-то независимый субъект, да, потому что вмещается по-другому. То же самое происходит в Грузии, то же самое, абсолютно. Во-первых, потому что Абхазия тоже никакая, конечно, суверенитета не сможет взять, потому что это просто исторически и этнически абсолютно грузинская территория, и с другой стороны никогда не было такое понятие, что такое абхазское государство. Да? Я, во-первых, поэтому говорю про Абхазию, потому что я сам из этого региона. Да? И вот сейчас происходит очень серьезная, так сказать, практика, я думаю, для Грузии. И те неправительственные организации, которые смогут сегодня работать в регионе Карабаха, да, они, наверное, завтра помогут и разобраться и нашим территориальным конфликтам. И еще что я хочу сказать. Конечно, все мы в курсе, что когда война идет, там есть и пленные, и гуманитарные кризисы и так далее, и так далее. В таких делах роль неправительственных организаций – это, так сказать, тот момент, когда они смогут решать какие-то проблемы, конкретные проблемы для
народа. А как вы думаешь, народная дипломатия не работает здесь?
Народная дипломатия, у нас есть два радикальные мнения на этот счет. Один мнение говорит, что это, конечно, работает. Я тоже считаю, что это работает. И есть второе мнение, что это миф какой-то. Да? Но я думаю, что вот народная дипломатия – тот ключевой момент, который очень помогает, когда конфликт вообще заморожен. Понимаете? Вот таких моментах это очень серьезно, потому что там есть и родственные связи, например, там есть и люди, которые знают друг друга с профессии, деятели культуры, например, спорта и так далее, конечно, это тоже важный фактор. И это тоже происходит, иногда очень часто это происходит, так сказать, в сообществе неправительственных организациях. Да, я в многих конференциях я видел людей из моего города, и я 30 лет уже не смогу увидеть свой дом. И было такие моменты, когда мы говорили с сторонами из абхазского, так сказать, оккупированной территории Абхазии, и там тоже был момент, когда с коллегами мы общались, и, конечно, это очень, так сказать, большая надежда и шанс для людей, которые хотят вернуться в своих домах, понимаете? То же самое, что случилось с Азербайджаном. Да, я тоже там слышал, что были такие неформатные, неофициальные встречи, конференции, потому что в нашем регионе не только Карабах имеется, так сказать, вот таких горячих точек, это не только Нагорный Карабах, да? Поэтому я считаю, что в первую очередь мы должны все работать о том, что в регионе был мир. Да? Без мира не сможем не развиваться экономики и так далее, и так далее. Поэтому я очень, так сказать, серьезно отношусь к таких темах, и спасибо вам большое за возможность с вами пообщаться. Я думаю, что после нашей конференции мы сможем продолжать свое общение, и думаю, что это для нас очень важно.
Спасибо, Георгий, это ваша объективная позиция, спасибо вам большое, и надеюсь, что мы все это, надеемся, что мы будем сотрудничать с вами дальше. И я хочу пожелать, чтобы вы освободите тоже своих родных землях. Мы, Грузия, Азербайджан и Тюркия, мы братские, дружеские народы.
Главные партнеры.
Главные партнеры. Спасибо вам большое, Георгий. Now I'd like to thank you. Now I'd like to introduce one of honorable guests from Kyrgyzstan, Madina Khanum. Пожалуйста. And Madina Khanum, вы слышите меня?
Да, если вы не против, я буду говорить по-английски, потому что у меня выступление...
У нас рабочий язык, это английский язык. Да, пожалуйста.
Very much.
The first, can you introduce yourself?
Yes, my name is Madina Ibrasheva. I'm from Kazakhstan, not from Kyrgyzstan. I would like to thank for inviting my organization to take part in such important discussion devoted to the topic of the role of civil society in regional conflict resolution in Central Asia. My organization, known as Civil Society Development Association, ARGO, is an independent, locally registered, non-profit CSO, civil society organization, with a premier umbrella network in Central Asia with more than 2,000 active member organizations and civic activists stretching across 8 countries, Afghanistan, Azerbaijan, Mongolia, and 5 Central Asian countries. As the Secretariat of the Central Asian Hub for Innovations of the Innovation for Change Global Initiative, ARGO has an extended global infrastructure and contacts bringing innovations and combating the shrinking of civic space to CSOs, activists, governments, academia across the region. Our vision, so we envision a world where the civil, business, and government sectors work side by side for the benefit of citizens, communities, and society. We contribute to peaceful, just, and inclusive society, and by doing that, help reduce the tension and risks associated with the regional and transboundary conflicts. So I move towards the substance of my presentation now. Despite the global progress, intellectual development, and peacekeeping efforts, the regional and global conflicts continue to aggravate in the modern world, unfortunately. The coronavirus pandemic currently worsens the overall situation by depriving conflict parties from opportunity to maintain peer-to-peer collaboration, negotiations, and dialogue. We are well aware that the conflicts tend to manifest in an acute form at the regional level of political, economic, and ideological contradictions within the country or between countries. They express themselves in ideological confrontation, economic sanctions, war, and armed conflicts, resulting in people's deaths and socio-economic destabilization. This is because of the protracted nature of conflicts, which include several cycles of development. That is why the resolution is very difficult and very gradual, often with the participation of international organizations like UN and OSCE. The role of the civil society representatives should not be diminished in the overall conflict resolution approach, since the CSOs can and should bear crucial responsibility in support. I'm sorry, can you hear me? Okay, so just continue. Since the CSO can and should bear crucial peacekeeping responsibility in support of the government's dialogue efforts and be complementary whenever it's possible. That said, I'm pleased to present on behalf of ARGO the peacekeeping experience of the Central Asian CSOs in national and regional conflict zones. Before getting to the point, I would like to share with you the UN vision of the non-governmental organization, its duties, and possible scope of work to be engaged in conflict resolution. In 1994, the United Nations Secretary General distinguished three main areas in which CSOs may usefully complement the United Nations in domains of conflict preventive diplomacy, peacekeeping, and post-conflict rehabilitation. In that sense, the CSOs have several advantages of being in the area before the outbreak of the conflict or the violence, being able to act quickly. The CSO's operation can also be seen as viable warning mechanism. According to the UN observer, the CSOs provide the international community with both a window from which they can observe and monitor developments in zone of conflict, and a door through which assistance can be delivered to the victims of conflicts. In view of the above, the Central Asian region is also a scene of conflicts both of regional and in-country levels. The most horrible one is the civil war in Tajikistan in 1992 till 1997 that lasted 5 years and took away almost 100,000 people alive. Millions were forced to immigrate to search for peaceful life. The war made the country step back for several years in its socio-economic development. I won't talk about the root causes of this war, but rather draw your attention to the role of women, volunteers, and activists, which played a decisive role in ending the brutal war. They actually forced the warring man to end military clashes. What we have heard from the Tajik female colleagues, that during the war, the women gathered together, cooked food, and fed the men from both sides, with some explanations on the war implications for ordinary people and their families, and urged them to end the confrontation. This is about so-called ordinary people diplomacy you were talking earlier. Another positive experience is with establishment of the National Public Council to serve the solution of important political issues associated with ending the imposed war, returning refugees to their homeland, normalizing the political situation in the country, and ensuring the national unity. Over the 20 years of its operation, the Public Council provided a dialogue between state authorities, civil society, political parties, public associations, religious organizations, and other stakeholders to help strengthen the foundations of national unity. Today, it has become one of the mechanisms for integration of civil society and serves as a great analytical and consultative school for improving the government and CSO skills and knowledge. Most of the civil society organizations within the framework of these domains systematically participated in the process of developing and amending the legislation, holding referendums and elections, and introducing systematic changes and reforms for the sake of the country. All in all, this largely contribute to strengthening the foundation of public administration, political stability, and promote culture of peace and improvement of legislation. The authorities and stakeholders currently underline the importance of further strengthening the role and capacity of this National Public Council in line with existing challenges and new realities of the war. People have endured during the war years and currently do its best to maintain peace and promote stability and sustainable paths of socioeconomic development. And in that sense, the National Public Council is instrumental to achieve that. I would like here to cite our colleague from Tajikistan, Mr. Nurali Saidov. He is the Secretary Coordinator of the National Public Council, who said that I constantly speak about the terrible consequences of extremism and terrorism. And now I emphasize once again that these modern threats have caused the destruction of many countries and the deaths of hundreds of thousands of people, deprived millions of other people of their homeland, home, and residence. The fight against this threat is not only the task of the state and the government. All political parties, social movements, CSOs, and organizations should be actively involved in preventing the conflicts. So my organization, within the frame of the USAID-supported Partnership for Innovations program, builds close cooperation with the National Public Council with some tangible results to include the civil society into decision-making, to maintain the peace within the country, and so on. More information can be found at the Argo P4I online platform, CSO Central Asia. Furthermore, on the disputed section of the Tajik-Kyrgyz state border, conflicts regularly arise between residents of the border areas of the two countries over roads, access to water, and land. Often clashes in the Batken region of Kyrgyzstan take place with participation of border guards and lead to the death of people. The conflict scenario is quite often the same. It tends to develop into a border conflict in which the military intervenes with the use of weapons, which is awful. Every time there is a conflict, the residents of villages are evacuated to bigger cities. These are women, children who have been abandoned, who have abandoned their homes, flee their native village, where their homes are often destroyed, and which they have been built for years and invested their funds. During the conflict, women and children receive enormous stress and psychological trauma. Up to 4,500 residents are evacuated during each conflict. All of them need psychological and social assistance, which unfortunately is not available in the zone of conflict. So the women of Batken region that live in border communities are not involved in peace building process. All negotiations and reconciliation processes are conducted by men. This might be the reason why the conflicts are not diminishing according to local citizens. They refer to an enormous potential of women which has to be employed to build peace and security in the region and within the country. In conflict situations, the cases of discrimination against rural women and girls prevail, putting them at high risk of becoming victims of human rights violations. The lack of essential social and health services for the population in times of conflict places a heavy burden on women and girls. As one of the women describes their situation in the conflict zone, here I citate her, the shooting and evacuation come unexpectedly, and women have to endure suffering and pain to save children and property. After returning from evacuation, it's very difficult to tidy up the house, renovate, put glass in frames, and just return to usual life. So I say take these people so that you understand the real situation, what is happening there, and how people cope or try to come back to usual life. So local CSOs, in order to cope with the situation, initiated the introduction of an early alert and conflict response system in the villages of the conflict-prone to Tajikistan-Kyrgyzstan border region. This is a breakthrough initiative that is being replicated to other border conflict regions of Kyrgyzstan. The system offers a conflict response mechanism of cooperation and distribution of responsibilities among local authorities, residents, and CSOs in the conflict zones. Moreover, thanks to the Partnership for Innovation program, which I highlighted above, almost half of the women have been empowered as activists in peace building in their communities through capacity building training, conflict prevention, mediation skills, personal safety tactics, and etc. This is the first time when female activists have been trained in mediation and negotiations, as previously only male community members have been involved in negotiations. Building upon P4I efforts, Partnership for Innovation efforts, today the early warning and response system is funded out of the local administration budget at the amount of a little bit less than $3,000, which is quite small amount, but it's enough to introduce such important system on the spot. This is the first successful government civil society cooperation that enabled an environment for public participation for conflict prevention in the country as a result of long-term dialogue with national and local authorities. Here I would like to citate the P4I, our program grant holder from CSO. So the lady said, we hope the Kyrgyz Action Plan for the implementation of the UN Security Council Resolution 1325 on the role of women in peace and security will be well implemented at the local level, especially in the border communities. It is necessary, therefore, to implement capacity building, mentoring programs for rural women, develop the early alert and conflict response system together with local authorities, so that the rural population, especially women, will become ready to participate in its implementation. Last but not least, I would like to highlight that the region of Central Asia experiences some tension, some problems and challenges with the shortage of water. As I said earlier, according to UN definition, the CSO, the civil society, has an enormous role to play in preventive diplomacy, meaning that they can raise awareness, they can introduce different capacity building activities to increase to improve the skills and knowledge of government authorities, civil society, and ordinary people with respect to water governance issues, rational water management issues in Central Asia. Unfortunately, due to climate change implications, rising problems, consequences which result from this. The tension, according to our scientists, local researchers, will arise. And we hope and we believe that CSO should take an active role in this preventive diplomacy by raising the awareness, explaining the situation, and also helping the governments of the countries to understand the importance of the UN legal binding instruments, such as the UN Convention on International Water Resource, on Just Boundary Water Resources and International Lakes as of 1992. So in conclusion, just these are the experiences, best practices, which to which I draw your attention. But apart from that, we decided to came up with some conclusions, which we hope can be used or will be of interest for you, for further implementation in your country. These are, we think that the role of civil society representatives is enormous and should be further researched by taking into consideration the peculiarities of the conflict and the place where it originates. Second, clear understanding by the CSOs of their role in conflict preventive diplomacy, peacekeeping, and post-conflict rehabilitation is essential for reducing the tension, providing needing assistance to local population need both at the national and grassroots level. Third, the mechanisms of preventive diplomacy with the CSO's active participation should be the subject of close communication with the national and local authorities. Fourth, there is a need for a dialogue platform among the CSOs from conflict areas, as it's much easier for them to exchange information and find the solutions at their level, at the grassroots level, and then channel the proposals to respective national governments for the sake of conflict resolution. So we hope very much that the presented information would be of interest and use for colleagues from other countries that currently experience tension in negotiations. We stand ready to share the experience and any further details on the topic as presented above, and we are open for cooperation if the need to be. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Madina. Thank you for your very important speak. I believe that will be resolved with the peace, all the conflict, but sometimes need to military way to resolve the conflict. At the moment, more than 50 ethnic conflict in the world, that it is with the, it is no any way, not any peaceful way. That is why the people, population want to solve their problem with the military way. That is why your research, I think that it is the conflict, the role of civil society organization in resolving the regional conflict on this topic. You are very important research. I believe that you will send your article, and your article will be published in the COGEP newspaper, Diplomacy newspaper. Thank you for participation. Dear friends, I'd like to give the floor our guests from Turkey and from Kazakhstan. The first, I'd like to invite here Daniel from Kazakhstan. Daniel, introduce yourself, please. Open. It's close your voice. We can't to hear you.
Good evening, dear colleagues. Let me introduce myself. My name is Daniel Kassimov, Kazakhstan. Excuse me, I badly to speak English because I was to study German language.
You can speak in Russian also.
Да, спасибо. Большое спасибо, Нушаба Ханум. У меня будет не такое большое выступление. Я прежде всего хотел бы отметить, что благодаря тем событиям, которые мы наблюдали последние 2 месяца на территории Южного Кавказа, я прежде всего имею в виду, конечно, освободительную войну братского азербайджанского народа против армянской агрессии, мы видели, насколько значимым может являться в современное время, в век интернета, в век социальных сетей, гражданское общество, как очень много могут сделать простые люди для того, чтобы поддержать свое государство, поддержать своих единомышленников и сплотиться и своей солидарностью внести свою посильную лепту в общую победу. Буквально сегодня президент Азербайджанской республики господин Ильхам Алиев, выступая по поводу освобождения Агдамского района братского Азербайджана, отметил, что Азербайджан внес свой посильный вклад в дело спасения мира от армянского фашизма. Конечно, на просторах даже СНГ бывшего Советского Союза. Эта фраза может звучать для некоторых малопонятно, но на самом деле мы знаем, что действительно та политика, которая проводилась независимой Арменией, начиная с 1991 года, вот, она, по сути, носит откровенно профашистские нотки, так скажем. Вот. И сама вот эта вот позиция армянского государства по отношению ко всем своим соседям, к Азербайджану, Грузии, к Турции, к Ирану, она в конце концов вот привела к тому, что Армения оказалась в таком тупике. В настоящее время мы сами прекрасно видим, что из-за того, что из-за своей агрессивной политики по отношению к соседям, в частности к братскому Азербайджану, сейчас наступил период, можно сказать, и политического, и экономического краха в Армянской республике. Вот. Только в ходе боевых действий было потеряно техники как минимум на $3 миллиарда США. Для такой маленькой и откровенно бедной страны, как Армения, это огромная сумма. Мы видели, что буквально до последнего дня, до прекращения боевых действий, армянское правительство, оно не отказывалось от своих агрессивных, так скажем, стремлений по отношению к азербайджанскому народу. И это была очень крупная ошибка, с одной стороны. С другой стороны, мы видим, что это приведет к тому, что в ближайшее время Армения полностью погрузится в пучину экономического, политического краха. Об этом можно судить по тем событиям, которые сегодня происходят в Ереване. И в конечном итоге это приведет к тому, что будет поставлено под угрозу само существование современного армянского государства. Конечно, политологи, они, характеризуя ситуацию, реагируют на те события, которые происходят буквально вот вчера, позавчера, и которые могут наступить завтра, послезавтра. Но я вот, будучи историком по своему первому образованию, смотрю несколько шире. И я думаю, что в перспективе, вернее, у армянского государства на Южном Кавказе исторических перспектив я откровенно не вижу. Если бы изначально армянское государство вело себя дружелюбно по отношению к своим соседям, то сами этнические армяне, они могли бы жить нормально и в самой Армении, и в Грузии, и в Азербайджане, могли бы ездить на заработки в Турцию, на одной только транспортной логистике. Я думаю, что Армения могла бы зарабатывать очень хорошие деньги и поддерживать свою экономику на достаточно высоком уровне. Вместо этого армянские руководители, они выбрали... Можно продолжать, да?
Да, пожалуйста.
Да. Вместо этого армянские руководители выбрали вот такую вот агрессивную политику по отношению к своим соседям. И вот это вот привело к тому, что это государство в ближайшее время, в ближайшие десятилетия может просто прекратить существовать. Конечно, здесь еще важную роль играют внешние факторы, но прежде всего построение любого государства, его сохранение, его дальнейшее развитие, оно зависит от его рядовых граждан. Вот. А здесь мы видим, что Армении уже вроде бы только вчера они проиграли войну, но уже у них находятся какие-то реваншисты, которые намереваются уже в будущем провести новую, так называемую, Третью Карабахскую войну, которая, конечно, может иметь непредсказуемые последствия, прежде всего, для самой Армении. Вот. Мы все прекрасно знаем из истории, что нынешний народ, у них само название хай, даже не армяне, действительно такой народ когда-то существовал на Кавказе. Было даже две Армении. Большая, которую сейчас называют Великой, и Малая Армения. Вот, и эти государства уже давно прекратили свое существование. Это вполне естественный исторический процесс. Ну и вот эти вот люди с названием хай, которые вот появились с территории Ирана и Турции в 1828 году, после русско-персидских войн на территории, на тюркских землях, на землях прежде всего Ереванского ханства, Карабахского ханства. Вот они решили себе присвоить вот эти вот достижения армянских государств. Вот, ну, из этого ничего хорошего не вышло, потому что чужая земля на впрок не идет. И я уверен, что в конечном итоге в обозримом будущем вот эти исконно тюркские земли, прежде всего Зангизур, окрестности озера Гойча и, конечно, земли бывшего Ереванского ханства, они в конце концов все-таки вернутся в состав Азербайджана. У меня все, спасибо.
Спасибо, Даниэль, спасибо большое за ваше вступление, что вы, как вы отметили, что в армянские они переселили на этом Южный Кавказ, и в 1918 году они создали свои первые государства на Южном Кавказе на счет азербайджанской территории. Thank you, Daniel. Now I'd like to give a floor our honorable guests from Turkey, Halil Bal. You are welcome, Halil Bal. Introduce yourself, please. Thank you, Daniel.
I am Professor Dr. Halil Bal from Istanbul University, History Department, Faculty of Letters. I believe, first of all, I would like to say hello to you all attendants, and including me to this webinar. As you know, in 1991, the Soviet Union ended and new independent states emerged. This process took place peacefully in many areas, except the South Caucasus region. When the Parliament of Nagorno-Karabakh Autonomous Province in Azerbaijan had decided to unite with Armenia on February 20, 1988, the Azerbaijan-Armenia conflict started. This conflict gradually widened, and in the winter of 1992, large-scale clashes broke out between two parties. Although various organizations, such as the Organization for Security and Cooperation in Europe, tried to end the conflict, the attempts failed. In the spring of 1993, and until ceasefire in 1994, Armenian forces occupied Azerbaijani territories in and around Nagorno-Karabakh. Dramatic events, massacres were committed, thousands of civilians were driven from their homes. The expansionist policy of the government of the Republic of Armenia deepened the conflicts with Azerbaijan. Later, the OSCE Minsk group was formed to resolve the conflict through peaceful negotiations on the basis of OSCE principles. However, the OSCE Minsk group was not successful, and the problem remained unsolved for many years, nearly 30 years. Karabakh War broke out between Azerbaijan and Armenia once again in September 27th, 1990. According to the documents signed by the President of the Republic of Azerbaijan, Ilham Aliyev, President of the Russian Federation, Vladimir Putin, and Prime Minister of the Republic of Armenia, Nikol Pashinyan, on November 10th, 2020. After the successful wars between 27 and September the 9th, November 2020, Karabakh and its surroundings were completely liberated from the occupation. We waited for this event. These days, when Azerbaijan is fighting to save it is a valuable part of homeland from the unjust occupation of Armenia. Turkey, for example, supported this struggle with all the opportunities it has. But what about in Central Asia? In Central Asia, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Uzbekistan, Turkmenistan, and Tajikistan republics, we waited, should also be in solidarity with Azerbaijan. They should unconditionally support a fraternal state. This historical responsibility should be a requirement, I think. If they do not support Azerbaijan by avoiding these historical responsibilities, they will not find a brother or friends who will support and help them in such a problem they may occur on their own country in the future. But we know that governments can be slow in making decisions sometimes. So what can be done to get them moving? Non-governmental organizations in our country can work together with non-governmental organizations in those countries, such as trade unions, religious organizations, think tanks, non-profit foundations or associations, business organizations, professional organizations, political parties, industry associations, youth associations. They are indispensable institutions of modern democratic countries. The main purpose of non-governmental organizations is to address social problems independently, inform, enlighten, and offer suggestions to the public. In fact, Azerbaijani people have endured injustices and massacres for almost 30 years, but there was no other way than war. Now, all countries of the world that believe in human rights, law, and justice in the Karabakh struggle should support Azerbaijan morally and materially. In that case, the conflict is resolved, peace and security are established in the region, and the bloodshed of more innocent people can be prevented. We believe that it is impossible to live together in peace in this world. I think there are too many things to do. So all the non-governmental organizations like SOJEP and the others work together. These valuable works make world more peaceful. Thank you for listening me impatient.
Thank you for your participation, Mr. Halil Bal. We thank you that I would like to thank all the participants, my honorable guests, Daniel Kasimov, George from Georgia, Madina, Mrs. Madina, and Daniel thank you for all your participants, and you make every participants make the note that they are moral support the Nagorno-Karabakh conflict. It is very important. It is very. I am very glad to hear from you that Central Asia countries, we are brothers. Turkey, Azerbaijan, one nation, two states. It is declared. I am very glad as the Azerbaijan population during this short time when the Azerbaijan started to liberate their the international territorial from occupation, Armenian occupation, we feel your support. The countries of Central Asia countries, the firstly Turkey, Afghanistan, Tajikistan, Kazakhstan, and other countries will feel your moral support. It is very wonderful feels. That is why we very thanks you, very thankful for your moral support. It is about 30 years continuous our conflict. Armenian occupied 40 years, kept under the occupation Azerbaijan international territories, Nagorno-Karabakh, and 7 surrounding region. United Nations Security Council were adopted for resolution, withdrawal and unconditional Armenian armed forces from Azerbaijan international territories, but and call all the international organizations, OSCE and other Islamic cooperation organization, and all the international organization call to Armenia stop the occupation and the withdrawal from Azerbaijani international territory. But during this the long time, 30 years, Armenia ignored all the resolutions of United Nations Security Councils, all the calls of the other international organizations. And the last time in July 2020, Armenian leaders said we need the new territories of Azerbaijan. They are started new territories. They are want new territories occupied of Azerbaijan territories from the September 27th September. Our president decided, and with our military army, they are liberated our international recognized borders, Nagorno-Karabakh and surrounding 7 region. We during this time we want to resolve this conflict with the peace way, and we several times we are visit with the Armenian NGOs, but no any effects. That is why it is our state decided it is this resolution only one way, with the military way. We only military way we can liberate our international recognized territory. Now our restored our integrity of our lands was liberated. Thank you for your speech, and I believe that you sent our articles, and all the articles will publish it in COJEP newspaper, Diplomacy. Dear participants, I think that we had a very productive conference. Thank you for participants.
Thank you.
Bir sözünüz var mı, söylemek ister misiniz?
Ben de herkese çok teşekkür ederim. Konuşmaları söylediğim gibi COJEP Diplomatik'in içinde yayınlanacak. Gelen ayın 5'inden itibaren konuşmaları COJEP Diplomatik'ten görebileceksiniz.
Çok sağ olun, teşekkür ederim. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Nushuba Khanum. This is very interesting, of course, and very important because my country to have many partnership with Republic of Azerbaijan. Çok sağ ol, sağ ol.
Yeah, thank you very much again for inviting. Just to mention that there are no easy solutions. And I think the most important thing that we should all employ people-centered approach. So we should think about people first of all, about their needs and interests in this conflict situation. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for all.
Thank you. Thank you.